It's What's the Score from the Blue Room. Everton are back this weekend. Hope you enjoyed your weekend without any football and you went to see some of those marvellous things Kate told us about on the last show. I'm joined this week by Dave Downie in the tower. And how's things, Dave?
All right, mate. Yeah. Well, aside from what you said about Kate and the things that we should be enjoying across the city, I can't stand international breaks, as I'm sure many people know who listen to any of our content out there. So I'm really grateful the Premier League football returns, albeit it's only back for 3 weeks before there's another break. So it's not a great time of year for internationals and stuff like that.
No.
And when you look at who the home nations have been playing, Scotland got battered by Belgium. England have played Bulgaria and Kosovo. Not the most glamorous of fixtures, and these games that seem to culminate in the Netherlands against Germany every single time. They've obviously finished now because they all play the other teams in the group, which is a really weird way they've gone about organising it this season. I'm just glad it's over for another few weeks and we can concentrate on the clubs again.
Yeah, even though there's loads of stuff on, there was still a very big Everton-shaped hole, wasn't there?
Yeah, there always is. You get a taste of it. You dip your toe back into the wonderful entity that is Everton for better or for worse, as we know every single season. But it's nice to have it back. Yeah,
it's down to Bournemouth for what will probably be one of the craziest fixtures of the season, because it always is. We're going to be going down there. All things being well.
Yeah, can't wait for 600 miles.
Yeah, I think last year it took us were we out the house about 18 hours for a 90-minute game, something like that?
Well, we did ultimately 3 trips to the south coast. You did 2 of them with me.
I did 2, yeah.
And I couldn't find... He escaped the last one, I think, but I couldn't find anybody else to go with me. And that was against Southampton.
I swear, that one,
so we went down to Brighton, where we got beat 1-0. We went down to Bournemouth, where we threw away this 2-0 lead, which we'll talk about a little bit more, I'm sure. And I took my Mrs. Haley to St Mary's to watch us get... Well, I say battered, but we deservedly lost that game.
Dreadful,
we were awful and lost 2-1. We nearly got something out of it at the end. And she come up to me, she's a Liverpool fan, she come up to me at the end of the game and said, "That was great, can we do it again?" Absolutely not. She's never coming on an away trip with me ever again.
Yeah, it's not been the best for us, the South Coast, has it? I mean, hopefully the weather will be nice and that'll be one thing. But yeah, just as you said, going back to last season, start of the season again, an early fixture, 2-0 up, absolutely coasting, and then the bottom fell out of it, didn't it? Leighton Baines did that little shove, they got the penalty, and I think from that moment on we thought, we're not winning this. It just knocked all the momentum out of us, didn't it? And it's like, we've seen this before.
Yeah, I think they're a difficult side to play, Les. I think you're looking at a side that tries to play the counter-attack. They try to play some really attractive football, and they do that at times. And I think that's why you'll see them cause a lot of upsets throughout the season. They will go to the big boys and try and give them a game. That's to the detriment most of the time, because they will sort of go hell for leather and think, you know what, we haven't come here to lie down, and you'll see them go to places like Anfield and get beat 3-4, 5-0 maybe. I'm not sure Eddie Howe's really found a balance for that yet, but at home they have this real knack of scoring more goals than you. And no matter how many they concede, and we've had some really difficult games down there, which I don't think we've won there in the Premier League. We've won one FA Cup tie down there, which indicates the type of game we're going to get. And you come up with a fantastic stat, Les, about the goals in this game.
The goals,
as well.
There's been 31 goals in the 6 games we've played so far, which is the biggest amount of goals that's been scored in a fixture since they got promoted. That's a mad amount of goals. We've scored 18, and they've scored 13.
Which, you know,
so the difference in that was Lukaku's 4. When we backed them 6-3. That's been the difference, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy game when you think about the one we went to last season with Leighton Baines throwing away that penalty, and 2 players sent off. Richarlison sent off for a headbutt.
Yes.
The guy he headbutted was then sent off later on in the game. Smith, wasn't it? And it was when we all thought that Theo Walcott was going to be a great player for us. How times have changed. And you look at the fixture and think, this should be one that you win. This should be a place that you go to and really impose yourself on the opposition, because I think, to his credit, Eddie Howe in many ways sticks to what he knew when he got Bournemouth promoted, and that was with sticking with players like Steve Cook, I think Francis at the back as well. He hasn't been one of those managers that's completely tried to rip things up, like maybe like a Fulham did last season in the Premier League, or what we're seeing this season with an Aston Villa, for instance, who were spending a lot of money to overhaul the squads in the hope that that's going to work in the Premier League, and try to sign maybe more elite players than what they've had to get them into the league. To Eddie Howe's credit, he showed tremendous loyalty to those type of players, but it feels like it is to the detriment when you see some of the goals they concede, and you see them take some real hard-ins throughout the season. And I think there's always a lazy narrative with Eddie Howe that we should all sort of rave about him as if he's this sort of wonderful young manager. And I think there was a time and a place for that conversation, Les, but I'm not necessarily sure it should have been in the last 18 months, let's say, because they seem to be the same team that aren't quite evolving. And it reminds me a little bit of when Tony Pulis got Stoke up to the Premiership. Yeah. And again, you'll know I'm not talking stylistically about these two in any sort of comparison, but when Stoke came up, I think the expectation was we need to hang around the league. Yeah. We need to ensure that we're here every season. And then 3, 4, 5 seasons down the line, you're looking at it thinking, we're still in that same position, but we're no longer grateful as football fans. We know how fickle we are. We're not grateful for being in the league anymore. What's the next step? Can we go and do something better? Ultimately resulted in Pulis losing his job there because he couldn't take them to that next level. And I think Bournemouth, it might be a little bit unfair. I'm sure Bournemouth fans will let us know, but I think he should be looking at what's next for Bournemouth, and which isn't necessarily 17th or lower mid-table in the Premier League.
You do wonder what the tipping point is. I mean, they did amazing to come up from where they were not so long ago to get into the Premier League. That was amazing. And I was just looking at like the previous fixtures. We've had 4 managers since they came up.
4 separate managers in the 4 games.
4 where Martinez did a couple.
Oh, he did the
Koeman did a couple. Yeah. Allardyce did 1. And Silva's done 2. So we've had 4 different managers. They've stuck with Eddie Howe. He's stuck with them. He went to Burnley, didn't he? But he came back because that didn't work out for him. But it's kind of like, without sounding condescending, they're happy to be in the Premier League, and they kind of seem to sort of appreciate that that's as good as it's going to get. But as you said, inevitably it doesn't last, and you do get to a point where the fans are like, well, yeah, this is sound, but I'm getting a bit fed up of going to Anfield and getting webbed everywhere now. Fed up of going to the Emirates, them coming here battering us. It does grind you down. The example I was thinking of was Charlton.
Yeah,
so they came up with Kerbishley. They were fine. They were a mid-table side, but that was as good as it was going to get. They got rid of him, and it just didn't work. So this is this kind of tipping point they find themselves at. Saying all that though, it's a game we should go and win. If we've got any aspirations of being top 6 and chasing down Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, we need to be going here and winning. Whether we will or not, it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, even the game against Villa, I think Villa outnumbered them on shots and shots on target, possession and everything, but they scored 2 to Villa's 1, and that's all that counts in the end, isn't it?
I think what's in the favour, Les, and what keeps the sort of the people at bay from criticising Eddie Howe too much is that forward line of Josh King and who's the other guy, Callum Wilson.
Yeah, sorry.
And you've got Fraser in there as well. You've got some really good attacking talent. I'm surprised Callum Wilson's still there, to be honest with you. I think Chelsea were heavily interested. Even Nathan Ake at the back, they have got a little bit more solidity in there since he was there on loan and then came back permanently. He was touted about at ridiculous Harry Maguire prices in the summer, which has probably staved off clubs from taking those players from them. They always seem to, a little bit under the radar, make quite considerable investments on players that don't ultimately make it there. I think it was the lad called Mousset there as well, who went to, I think he end up at Brighton or Huddersfield, one of them. He left. I think they paid quite a big fee for him. I think obviously they paid a lot for Solanke, who I don't think scored a Premier League goal for them and hasn't played much. They sort of do invest in the team, but they're not on players that make any sort of impact there. Jordan Ibe, as well, who was a bit part player. Always seems to come on and have an effect against us. Of course he does, because he's a former Liverpool player.
Oh, well, they've got a free kick expert now, haven't they?
Exactly, yeah. And that's always the way it goes when we go down there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it is a fixture that we should be winning. It's one that you should be targeting for 3 points on the road. Now, our away record, whilst being comparable to mid-table Premier League sides, probably is the thing, right now it is the thing that's holding us back, because we've got a phenomenal home record, only conceded 2 goals at Goodison since February, and that was against Wolves in our last outing. So that side of things is ticking over nicely. We've got the atmosphere going good. We all know the stuff with the originals and what they're doing from a fan perspective away from home, Les. which is a massive bugbear for me, not just for the results, but also because I tend to drive to every single one of them.
Oh, no, I do some of them with you.
Exactly, and the one on the way home is normally quite a bleak trip back up, isn't it? Because we're normally listening to the half game, which invariably is Liverpool beating someone by 4 or 5 goals. So.
And I generally fall asleep.
Exactly.
At some point.
So do I. And I'm driving the car. Make sure you stop off there for anybody who does make that long trip down south. But yeah, and they're in opposition that at a hindrance, I see, more than a genuine quality side that can do you damage. And I think it's a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of naivety that hasn't got us over the line against them in the past. That game last season when we went 2-0 up, felt like you could have just ridden the storm with 20 minutes left.
Yeah, we should have seen that out.
They go down to 10 as well. There was a naivety to that performance, and it felt very much like the early throws of what Marco Silva was trying to do with us, and that was get us on the front foot in games we didn't really know how to shut up shop.
Yeah.
Now I think we have the personnel to do so. I think you've seen against Wolves, we've got a midfield now that is very combative. You've got somebody in there in Fabian Delph who will know when to throw a foul in. How many goals did we concede last season, Les? And I'm pretty sure that Bournemouth was one of them, where maybe a foul breaks things up and you take a yellow card to stop them from, getting on the front foot in a counter-attacking way. We've got that personnel in there to do that now, I think. So, and also, we agreed on one of our shows recently that the formation and the line-up against Wolves was probably what Everton's best is going to be this season as well. So hopefully that remains unchanged.
Yeah.
I'm confident of us going down there and winning. I genuinely am. I think we've got enough firepower to put a few goals past them. Don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because the nature of this game says that we don't.
Yeah, we won't.
And they do have pacey players who can affect that high line. We like to play with a couple who aren't the quickest at centre half. So, yeah, I'm expecting goals, but I'm expecting us to win.
Yeah, I think the thing that's key for us, and it probably sounds dead obvious, but we need to get more shots on target.
Yeah.
We need to get more shots in. Against Wolves, we had 6, which was more than our first 3 games combined.
Yeah.
We scored 3. So that's something we really need to. I mean, even if it doesn't go in, it gives the keeper something to think about. It can take a deflection, whatever. So I think that's key for us. Just get more shots and get more players packed in the box.
It's a momentum thing as well, Les, isn't it? Because you're peppering the opposition goal. Obviously, you're keeping them at bay from doing it at the other end, but also it gives you as a fan a lot to cheer about, really, doesn't it? Because pressure's build and that they're going to be a little bit nervous and things like that. You get in possession in key areas, and you're right. I thought one of the biggest criticisms so far this season has been the lack of goal scoring opportunity. Maybe not created. When you look at maybe that Calvert-Lewin miss at Aston Villa, you look at Theo Walcott's miss at Aston Villa, where he completely misses the target.
Yeah,
those moments are where you need to be clinical. And if you're maybe Farhad Mashiri, who's invested again heavily this summer, and Marcel Brands, you must be sitting in the stand thinking, we've spent all this money on attacking talent, yet we're not getting enough shots in on goal that we should be doing. But that Wolves game obviously put a lot of that to bed, and hopefully we can continue that on the weekend.
Yeah, we need to keep that momentum going into this game. So let's look at the scores then. What do you reckon?
I've gone for Everton 3, Bournemouth 1, Everton 3. I think Richarlison will do the business again. I thought he was fantastic against Wolves. A lot of people's man of the match vote. I thought Fabian Delph probably edged him out a little bit, considering it was his home debut and it was so impressive in the middle. But I wouldn't argue with anybody who give him the man of the match award that day. Goal scoring game. He seems to have found a real knack of arriving late in the penalty area and getting headers in on goal.
Yeah,
if you look at the Wolves game, that goal he scores, Luca Dean's ball into him is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
He does well to keep it in play, let alone get his foot around it to whip in a brilliant cross. Willy Bolly, 6'3", Wolves defender. You
can see him poised. He's like, right, I'm going to head this away.
Built like a brick.
Yeah.
And it's such a classic. It's a goal for, I would say, traditional Evertonians who remember the likes of Andy Gray, Graham Sharp.
Yeah, definitely.
All the great headers of the ball that we've had in years gone by, arriving late on the scene, getting a glancing header into that far corner. Rui Patricio was on fire for Wolves that day as well, and he nestles this header into the bottom corner. Lest we forget, there was one against Lincoln a few days earlier to that as well, which was also equally as brilliant from a Luca Dean cross. So it wouldn't surprise me if those two link up again. But I think Richarlison's the threat. He's got the bit between his teeth, and I'm expecting him to kick on this season, possibly even score more than the 13 he got last season from a wide position. So Richarlison to score first, Everton to win 3-1.
Right. If you want to put that bet on with Fansbet, a £10 stake would have got you £290, but we fans boosted the odds, and it'll get you £350 back if it comes up. I've
paying for the trip down there.
I was paying for the trip down there.
Service station stops on the way back up.
I'm only going for the Greggs on the way down. That's all I'm in for.
Well, do you know what? Just I know this is a complete tangent, but somebody who I work with was telling me that apparently we've missed all the great service stations on the way down there just for the way the sat-nav takes us. So if we're willing to put in a couple of extra miles on a couple of different roads, there's Nando's, there's Pizza Expresses.
Wait, what?
I've never known the like at service stations.
No.
Maybe I'm just ancient and just go to the traditional ones where they've got
KFC, Burger King, maybe
just,
a Starbucks.
That's your standard at a service station, isn't it?
Yeah.
But apparently there's talk of Nando's and others,
right.
Not just a stale Harry Ramsden.
Let's live it up this weekend.
Absolutely, we'll try and find them and feedback on them.
I'm not going to be quite so positive. I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
Repeat the last season.
Yeah, there's defo goals in it, but I just think we've got a bit of a vulnerability in our away forms. Not yet quite up to speed. I can't see it getting totally up to speed in this game, so I'm going to go 2-2. I think Iwobi will carry on his rich reign of goal scoring form.
No, the one who scored 2 headers in the last 2 games too.
Yeah, exactly. I think if he scores a third for us, isn't that more than he got the whole last season?
I think it's equalled his best ever season for Arsenal,
right? Which
would be incredible after 5 games if he was to bag 3.
That's amazing
in 5.
Yeah.
And he's quickly, I think, winning fans over who maybe doubted him in light of the fact that we didn't sign Wilfried Zaha towards the end of the deadline. I think there was a little bit of pressure on him to live up to a big price tag, and he's got off to a flyer with that. Yeah.
So if you want to take my word for it, which I wouldn't, 2-2 draw with Iwobi to score at any time, £10 would have returned £450. With the Fansbet Fansboost, it could win you £550 instead. If you want any of those bets, go to fansbet.com and then take a look while you're there at what they do to give money back to fan causes. You know a bit more about that.
Yeah, having been a former employee of Fansbet and still a massive advocate for some of the work that they do. Yeah, the giving back campaign that they do, basically, they're the only bookmaker who's committed to giving 10% of their net profits back to fan causes. So some of the things I was involved with when I was there was a safe standing campaign that they did at Shrewsbury. I think the only club in the English Football League who did that. They implemented the safe standing. Yeah. There's videos all over the website of that sort of thing that they do. Also supplementing away travel, community initiatives such as like even I know we don't like talking about it personally, Les, but with LFC they've done a lot with Home Baked, which is a community bakery.
They do actually do really nice pies.
They do, and it's great. You know, that's the one thing you look forward to going to Anfield as a Blue, because it's certainly not the result of performance. So they do stuff like that. Loads of other clubs as well are involved up and down the country. Some really good initiatives. So make sure you take a look at that, and you'll see why using them and choosing them as a place to place your bets is far more beneficial than the bookmakers.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. But remember, do gamble responsibly and stay within your limits. That's all from us. Cheers for that, Dave.
No problem.
We will see you here for post-match reaction, so look out for that, and we'll be back next time.